There we go. So we always start this presentation by taking a step back and asking ourselves why would we put so much effort in trying to phase away from driving cars and owning cars and use alternative modes of transportation. So the first one is climate and emissions, and what the top left graph is telling us is that 29% of our US greenhouse gas emission is due to the transportation sector. And more than half of that 29% is due to light duty vehicles, meaning our everyday cars. But don't worry, because we actually have a lot of solutions and a lot of alternative ways to move around. The thing is, we need to scale up these options, make them more accessible, more affordable, more safe and comfortable for everyone. But we have them already. And actually, among the top 100 solutions to tackle climate change that were put up by the Project Drawdown, which we talked about in previous presentation, more than 10 of these solutions are related to transportation. And the ones that are circled in green here are especially relevant to people like you and I, just traveling around to getting places in our everyday life. Vehicular traffic is also a huge contributor to poor air quality and smog and soot, especially in big cities, which leads to increased premature death, usually due to cancer, respiratory disease, or other illness. And that clear connection between public health and bad air quality has been especially the focus of media recently because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Back in April, the Harvard School of Public Health actually released a study on that connection, which said that high level of air pollution may be, quote unquote, one of the most important contributors to death from COVID-19. So it's pretty scary, but we also saw that the pandemic was a moment where vehicular traffic really dropped. And as a result, we saw a much better air quality in a lot of cities around the world, as you can see on the photo on the right here. And we've been really trying to push that momentum, really encourage people to continue using alternative transportation during the pandemic. And for that, we created that guide, which has a bunch of safety tips for each of its modes of transportation. So for instance, for public transit, how you can use mobile ticketing to avoid contact, or how to use your elbow to push the cross button if you are walking or biking. And since the beginning of the pandemic, we saw a huge decrease in usage of public transit, unfortunately. But the good side is that people have been biking and walking more than ever, especially for recreation, but for transportation as well, which is really exciting. And from there, I'll pass it on to Becca for other reasons why Altrans is so cool. And you're muted, Becca.
Sorry about that. So just a heads up, some of my slides have a lot of information or pictures or charts. We're going to send this to you afterwards so you can go back and reflect on it. So if I don't cover everything, it's just because I wanted you to be able to reflect back on some things. So something we can all relate to is saving money on driving. I mean, so much money has to go into just driving yourself everywhere. And I think COVID has really opened our eyes on that. I know I've saved an insane amount of time just because I never drive my car right now. So if you're coming to campus, you're saving money on a parking permit, that can be up to $900, up to $1,000 or more in gas, your car depreciation. So the more you drive it, the less it's worth. Car maintenance, just so many things go wrong the more you drive it. Oil changes, everything with the maintenance. And then if you don't drive, it depends on who you use, but you can get low mileage insurance that can save you a decent amount of money. So if you are using alternative transportation, I would look into that. You could save some significant amount of money with that. And then even if you're still using a car, but you're carpooling, you can save money just by splitting the driving and reducing also the wear and tear in your car. Personal health, and this is more than just, this is physical and mental well-being of using alternative transportation. And so the first thing that I love is this picture of the dog. So I think about whenever I drive to work or anywhere, it's somewhat stressful when you're driving. You have to pay attention the whole time. You have people honking or cutting you off, or just the stress that comes with driving in traffic. Versus when you take the metro or your bike or your walk, you can just kind of relax. You get a little bit of exercise, and then you get to work with more energy and less stress. So that's probably one of my favorite things about alternative transportation. You're getting some exercise in, and if you carpool, people tend to rate their commute as less stressful, just having someone else to share the ride with. And traveling by public transportation is much safer per mile than traveling by auto. Don't quote me, but I think I read it was like 10 times safer. If you think about it, you hear about car accidents every single day, and you don't hear about train crashes or metro in St. Louis ever. So it is a much safer transportation method. And next one, please. I like this one because it kind of brings it to light. It's about optimizing your time. You know, if you're spending 30 minutes in the car versus 30 minutes on the train, you don't have time to do anything except listen to the radio in the car. But if you're on the train, you can read, you can relax. When you're biking, you're actually getting your exercise, so you don't have to get home and feel like you need to go for a walk or work out. And there's no traffic. So it's really just changing your mindset on, I'm optimizing my time when you're using alternative transportation. Next slide, please. We're going to talk about transit. So this is shuttles and bus and train, just moving people places with transit. So Metro Transit, I wanted to include these pictures just by the one on the right. You can see we do have a decently large system. There's a lot of buses. We have 2 MetroLink lines, so there are a lot of options to get around. And the one on the bottom left is actually the medical campus in Danforth and all of our satellite campuses. So there are a lot of options directly around our campus. So you can see that the MetroLink connects all of our campuses. So even just commuting between campuses is easy. You can just hop on the train and get there a lot of time faster than you could actually just drive to the other campus. We offer a really good benefit of completely free Metro U passes for all benefits eligible employees and full-time students. It's a huge benefit. A lot of places, some don't even offer it. Other ones you have to pay for it. So this is something you should really take advantage of. We have 2 train stations on Danforth, and they're on each side of Forest Park Parkway. And then again, we have one at every one of our campuses. And I included links, so if you need a U-Pass, you can request it online. And then if you want to look at maps, you can follow that link there. Next slide, please.
And that's true for both campuses, right, Becca?
Yes, so yes, free U-Pass for all of Washington University, Med Campus and Danforth. You just need to be benefits eligible employee or a full-time student. And then you still can get a U-Pass in the summer if you're a student, as long as you were full-time in the previous semester, and you will be full-time in the next semester. So a lot of people, when we're talking about Metro, they're like, I don't live by a bus stop, I can't use Metro, but you can still use Metro. There's other options. So I always recommend looking at park and ride lots, and these are just parking lots at either a train station or a bus lot. So you can drive there, hop on a train or bus and take it directly to campus. I recommend checking out train stations just because it's a more direct option. And then if you live maybe a little close to a bus stop, but too far to walk, you can always take your bike. And then it's even better that once you get to campus, you have your bike, it's easier to commute around to meetings or off campus to lunch. And you can take your bike on the train or on the bus. So I would recommend looking into both of those. And park and rides are totally free to use, all of them except for one. Next slide, please. So this is the MetroLink map. So you can see there are 2 MetroLink lines. We have the red line and the blue line, and they just go different directions. You can see by the blue dots, those are the free MetroLink park and rides. So the biggest ones that people use are the Shrewsbury-Lansdowne is heavily used. That's over 800 spaces. Up north, we have the Hanley ones used a lot. People use Brentwood, Maplewood. So there are a lot of ones that are used very heavily. So you'll see other people at WashU if you start using these. And all of them except for Clayton are free. You can also see the ones with, I don't know if it's yellow or orange, but those are long-term parking. So I believe it's 2 weeks. So if you need to go to the airport, you can actually go there, park for up to 2 weeks, and then just take the train to the airport. And there are 2 MetroLink stations at the airport. So that is also a good option. If you go to Metro's site, they combine the train and bus park and rides. So we have a new commuter platform called WashU Rides, and there's an interactive map. So you can go on there and toggle off, and that picture at the bottom shows the free MetroLink park and rides. So go there, and then you can see which ones you can go and take a train directly to campus. And yes. So this is the transit app. If you're new to Metro, I really recommend checking this out. It replaced Metro's own app. This is a national app, so anywhere you are, you can use this. It's really helpful. It's very different than Google Maps, so it might take some getting used to, but I really like the functionality. So I included, maybe on the next one, so you open it up, and on the far right, it shows you all options around you automatically. So once you know what you're doing, you can kind of use this to see which option's best. And then you can also see exactly where the bus is in real time, which is really helpful to know how quickly you need to run to your bus stop. So I like that feature. And then also, if you're new to it, just zooming in on the map all the way so you can see what side of the street your bus stop is. That's really helpful to know where you need to go. You can check that for service alerts, notifications, and reminders. So you can tell it to remind me 5 minutes before I need to leave, and it will tell you. And there's a go feature. So whenever you trip plan your to and from, you hit go, and it will actually kind of hold your hand through the whole thing and tell you when to leave, when to change lines, when to get off. And then, so that's really helpful. If you're new to it, it'll kind of walk you through all of it. Next slide, please. This is just a little tutorial again, because it's different than a lot of other apps you've used. So I would just check this out. It's helpful to add things to your favorites. So I added like the 2 lines that touch North Campus and go to Danforth. So they're always at the top when I open it. And then the FAQ just to go learn more, because there is a lot. You want to make sure you're using all the features. It's a great app. Again, it's called Transit. Next, please. Metro bus tips. So I recommend if you try it once or twice, people can get turned off because it's confusing and they don't know where to go or how to use it. But like everything, it's the first couple times it can be hard to get used to something, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes second nature. I would just end up at campus and you're just on autopilot once you learn what you're doing. So use that transit app. I would get to your bus stop at least 5 minutes early and give yourself extra time just in case the bus is late. You don't want to time it to where it gets to your destination right on time. Sometimes it can be late depending on how many stops they have to make and how long it takes people to get off. This is very important. So make sure the number and the destination match. So you can't just see the number 10 and hop on it. So the Hampton Loop is saying what direction it's going. So if you get on the wrong one, you're going the wrong direction. And when you get on, you just swipe your U-Pass, have your U-Pass, and you also have to show your WashU ID. And then to request a stop, you just pull the cord. Next slide. MetroLink. So first of all, you can see this one's with snow. So I really like the MetroLink for bad weather, whether it's rain or snow or anything like that, or even a Blues game or something when there's a lot of traffic. The train is just a really safe, convenient way to get around. Even when there's more traffic due to poor weather, it's just a really convenient way. And even people who don't take the train all the time will choose to take it during bad weather. And when you come onto Danforth, you need to, a lot of people don't realize this, but it takes you underneath Forest Park Parkway. So whenever you get off, just follow the signs to WashU. And then when you're getting there from the campus, there are stairs on the campus side that take you underneath. So that's really convenient and kind of incredible that we have that. When you get there, make sure you're standing on the right side of the platform. And in the picture, you can see that it says, Lambert Airport, Shrewsbury. It will tell you what side to stand on. If you're confused, just ask somebody. Like everyone has been new and confused at some point. So everyone's always helpful. And then again, with the car or with the Metro bus, make sure you're checking the color. So you can see that one is red. It says Lambert Airport. You need the color and the actual destination. My first time using it, I learned this the hard way and I just saw red and I hopped on it and was going the wrong way. So just make sure that both match. It's easy to fix. If you get on the wrong one, just hop off and then get on the right direction. It's not difficult, but just make sure you're going the right direction. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that. So with Danforth shuttles, we doubled, this is Danforth, not Metro, or not Med Campus. So we have doubled our shuttles this year, in the last couple of years actually. And that's because a couple things, Metro Reimagined happened in the last few years. And although it did a lot of good, it also cut some stops. So it was, they increased frequency of stops, but they also, that means they had to eliminate some stops. And so after some pushback from campus, we expanded some shuttles to cover areas that now the buses don't cover. So that was really helpful. And then due to COVID, we had a lot of students be pushed off campus and have to live farther. So we built a lot of new routes to accommodate students living off campus. So these are just 3 examples. You can go online and look at all the maps. And then the interactive map, I included a link. You can go and you just toggle on and off the layers. It shows you the stops and the routes. And that's a good option instead of going to the website and clicking through each one, just to go there and find out which one you want and then go learn more about it. Next one, please. This is the School of Medicine. You guys also have a good amount of shuttles. It goes around the campus, and it also, like ours, goes to surrounding neighborhoods. And I include the link to go learn more there. Fortunately, I'm not as knowledgeable about your operations, but you guys do have a lot of really good shuttle options as well. Next slide, please.
Yes, that's me. So biking, the WashU Danforth campus was originally designed specifically for pedestrian, and in the past few years we really tried to have more intentional design that accommodate for different types of transportation, including bikers. And in 2017, WashU actually received the Bike-Friendly University certification at a silver level, and we are hoping to recertify this year, maybe with gold, so the one level higher. We'll see how that goes. About a year ago, Washington University adopted a biking policy, I think specifically for the Danforth campus as well, that included a lot of rules, especially related to safety. So how can bikers be mindful to share the road with pedestrians by being very audible when they pass, yield to pedestrian. It also had some regulation related to parking, also impoundment. What do you do if your bike gets impounded? Things like that. And the policy was really created to create a safe and enjoyable environment for all individuals on campus. I had to include that photo of Will and Dustin on the bottom right of the screen from Stranger Things. You'll know that they don't have a helmet, but they do have their lights, so we still love them. Educating bikers to create a safe environment on the road is not enough. We also need to have drivers that are aware that, that they have to share the road with other users. So whenever you drive a car, be again really mindful of bikers, especially at intersection, which are places where the most crashes take place. So always keep an eye out for cyclists, and especially also when you get out of your car, there is a phenomenon called dooring, which is basically when you exit your vehicle and open your door, especially when there is a bike lane on your left or sidewalk on your right, that can lead to pretty severe crashes. So always look again, look back, make sure no one's coming. And that list was put together by the Missouri Bicycle and Pedestrian Federation. Bike registration. So WashU has always been providing bike registration, but about a year ago, we really upped our game and upgraded our registration system. And we're now partnering with Project 529, which basically, whenever a bike is registered with Project 529, it enters a national database, meaning that if your bike is ever stolen, people around your area will be notified, as well as pawn shops. So in that sense, it's also a theft deterrent, because if a potential thief sees this Project 521 sticker, it knows that it's going to be much more difficult to sell that bike down the road. It's also a great way for us, and especially the WashU Police Department, to facilitate the recovery of bikes that may be lost or impounded on campus. It's, in terms of getting your registration done, it's pretty easy. It does take a few minutes. You have to fill that online form, sharing some information about your bike and yourself. And then Parking and Transportation will send you that sticker via campus mail or regular mail with instruction on how to complete the registration. And once you're done, you can actually put it on your bike in a visible manner. And the bike policy also says that bike registration is now mandatory. Becca, did you want to add something?
I did, sorry. So it is really important with the Project 529 that you do /WashU, because if you don't do it through that, then we don't know to send you your registration sticker. So make sure you put the /WashU so we can get you your sticker. Thank you.
Thanks. Gears. So a lock can also protect your bike, and cable locks can actually be really easily be cut. So we recommend people using U-locks instead. WashU Police Department sell them at cost for $25, which is a really good deal, knowing that these are super heavy duty. And the remaining gears on the slide are about your own safety. So helmet is an obvious one. Bears Bikes sell them for $20. And we usually distribute for free bike bells and bike lights. We usually host bike tune-up every semester. We haven't been able this semester, but we are actually planning to host one on October 30, finger crossed. It's Halloween day, so we may have some spooky stuff around it. But it's not going to be a traditional event where you show up and stand in line. It's going to be reserve your spot in advance to make sure we don't create a line or any gathering of people. So if you are interested in receiving a bell or a light, let me know after the presentation, and you can either pick it up from our office or we can send it via campus mail. We won't be able to do regular mail though, only campus mail or pickup. And finally, the bike parts vending machine, which is located in the Active Commuter Hub, has things like bike tubes, tools, lubes, things like that. Really excited about that. However, the hub is currently temporarily closed during the pandemic. That's a great segue to the next slide here, showing amenities and infrastructure. So the Active Commuter Hub opened its door about a year ago. It's located in the lower level of the Shuttle Pavilion, and its goal is to really provide a place for active commuters, whether they bike or run or use public transit, to shower and get ready before the workday or the school day. It has 4 showers, a bunch of lockers, and that bike parts vending machine. On the lower right, you can see bike repair station. We're also really excited that we upgraded all these stations on campus. Each station has a pump, a number of tools to perform basic repairs, and a QR code that brings you to the bicycle repair quick guide. Which has like illustrated instruction about things like changing a flat or adjusting your brakes or your shifting gears, etc. The School of Medicine campus also has fixed stations. Not sure of the exact location, but I think it has at least 2 of them. And the medical campus is also better than us in terms of providing bike cage and secured bike parking, which we don't have on the Danforth campus. We recently updated that bike map. It shows all the most recent separated bike lanes that we added as part of the East End transformation. And in total, we have 4 miles of either separated or shared pathways on campus, which is really exciting. We also have almost 4,000 bike parking spaces next to each of the academic and residential buildings. the repair stations, as I was talking about. And finally, we have the active commuter hub and a bike shop, which is located on the South 40. There's Bikes, which is student-run and offers bike rental, bike storage, and repairs. I'm not going to go too much in detail for that, since we'll be following up with that presentation, but a lot of local organizations are working hard to create trails and policy around alternative transportation and biking. So check them out. Bike Benefit is a great program for bikers to get discount at local businesses. And it's actually a national program. So wherever you are, check out for Bike Benefits. And a lot of local bike shops too. Big Works is the only one that's a non-profit, and their bikes are refurbished or second-hand, and they also have parts and other gears you can buy from them. And I'll pass it on to Becca for scooters.
Thank you. So anyone who's been around St. Louis has known these kind have just like popped up out of nowhere. Without much warning. So everyone kind of had to scramble to figure out what we were going to do. And as a result of just a lot of injuries from people riding on campus, just because you can just hit a sidewalk wrong and just completely wipe out or take a turn too fast. We were just, especially when they first came out, we were having a lot of injuries. And then also just people parking on ramps or in front of doorways and just cluttering up campus. And it's a safety concern, even just the parking to other people. So we implemented a policy, and this was a really well thought out policy with a lot of different people across campus. And it was just to ensure the safety of both the riders and everyone else on campus. So you are welcome to ride to campus and on some designated streets. It's through Snowway, Shepley, Wallace. I'm probably missing one, but all the ones in green on there. You just can't come onto inner campus. And that's just, we have so many pedestrians, we have people biking, and they just are, they go too fast. It's just not a safe environment. So when you do come on campus, you just need to park them at one of these designated scooter parking locations. And when you're using any of the scooter operators, Bird, Lime, or Spin, you have to actually park in one of these areas in order to stop the ride in the app. So if you don't park within one of these spaces, you can end your ride, which you will end up getting charged more. Yeah. That's about it. Just please wear a helmet. You can get, injured decently if you're not wearing a helmet. So just be aware of your surroundings, pay attention to what you're riding over. So, ride share. There's a lot of different options for this. So next one, I forget what's first. Okay, WashU Rides Commuter platform. This is probably the thing I'm most excited about in this whole presentation. This is something we've been working on for a while. It is a all-in-one commuter platform, and it's really cool. So it's for WashU people. You sign in with your WashU Wustel key, and then when you get there, you can see in the bottom right, you put the first thing you have to do is you put your start location, your destination, and then it opens up this trip planner, and that's where you can see all your options. And then from there, you can find a carpool or bike pool match, and that's either one time or ongoing. Bike pools are just where you meet up with other people and bike together. So it kind of gives you safety and power in number. And also people who are new, it can just help them get more comfortable. It is still somewhat new, so there's not a ton of users. So if you don't find a match right away, be patient and keep checking back. As more people join, you should be able to have a better match. So please help spread the word. If there's any way you can get it out, just let people know. It will really help people find better matches. When you log in, you can also compare all your options. So you can figure out which one's the most convenient, economical, sustainable, and it shows you, it breaks it out for you. The interactive map, I'll talk about that a little bit more on the next slide, but it has a lot of transportation related items and you can toggle all of them off. So we worked hard to find stuff that we thought would be relevant to you guys. And then another cool feature to track how sustainable you're being or how good you've been with the alternative transportation is you can actually log your trips in there, and it'll show you how much CO2 you've saved, how much money you've saved, how many calories you've burned using alternative transportation. So it's really kind of cool to see how well you've been doing and hold yourself accountable. In the future, we're going to use that feature to, you can win prizes. So having competitions and points programs. So check back for that. Next slide. Okay, so this is just an example. You can see on this, in the key, there's a bunch of different layers you can toggle off. So there's free commuter lots. So if you're carpooling, you can park there. There's all kinds of metro stops. And I picked the metro stops. We picked the metro stops that touch the Danforth campus. And then on the left one, you can kind of see you can toggle off the bike lane. So you can find a bike lane to take to a metro stop, to take to campus. So you can just kind of play with this to figure out your best option. And then the one on the right is just kind of showing how the carpool matching works. It shows you your options, how far out of the way they are, just so you can see the best one. You can pick your carpool matches based on your schedule. So you actually go in and say, I work these hours and these days, and you can add preferences on if you want to ride with male or female. And then you can add notes about yourself just to tell people more about it. So it's a really cool option. You can also, like, let's say you don't have a car, you can choose just to be a rider. You can choose to do rider and driver. So it is a really powerful tool that I hope people will take advantage of. Next, please. Barely driver's permit. This again is just for the Danforth campus. I believe the Med campus, I didn't include it in this, so I'm sorry. But you guys have van pools, or at least you did have van pools. But again, this is just for Danforth. But this is a carpool permit for faculty and staff. You have to be full-time permanent, and you can get this permit. It's a drastically discounted permit. My favorite thing about it is just that you get designated spaces, and they are in the best locations in the garage or the lot. It's similar to a red parking space, which is $2,000 a year. It's pretty much like VIP parking. So even if I was paying the same amount, I would still do this just to get this great parking, because you come to campus, you know exactly where your spot is. There's no looking for it. You can also sign up for the Guaranteed Ride Home program with this. Why carpool? It is sustainable. You're cutting down, you're cutting in half, only one person's driving. You're saving money, everyone loves that. And you're reducing the wear and tear on your vehicle and cutting down the maintenance cost. And like we said earlier, people enjoy carpooling more than just driving by yourself. Yeah, check it out. And this is the Guaranteed Ride Home. This is for both carpooling. So both of these you have to sign up for online, and these links will take you to the sign up page. Citizens for Modern Transit, this is a local organization that's wonderful, and they really advocate for a lot more metro, but this also covers people who bike or walk to work, and it'll reimburse you 80% up to $60. So if you ride to campus and then you have an emergency, you get up to 4 of these a year, and then you can just hop in a Uber, Lyft, whatever you need, and go home and then submit your receipt for reimbursement. It is an actual emergency, not like it's raining, I don't want to ride, or I forgot something at home. It has to be like you're sick, or a real emergency. Ride Finders is for carpool, so it covers 100%, up to $125. You do have to call either me or Ride Finders and set it up ahead of time. You can't just get in an Uber. We'll give you a coupon to give the taxi. So those are great options. This is more to, people always think they can't use alternative transportation because what if something happens? This kind of fills in those gaps to help protect you in those situations. Next slide, please. Smart driving. Next slide, please. Okay. Electric vehicles. This is fortunately becoming a lot more common than it has been even in the last 10 years. And even if you can't go full electric vehicle, you can still get a hybrid. Anything helps. So I've been seeing, SUVs, they're really coming out with a lot more options than this typical hybrids you've always seen or electric vehicles. This is important because transportation accounts for 3/4 of the total US petroleum consumption, which is kind of insane. EVs have better fuel efficiency and lower fuel cost. They have a lot less moving parts in a traditional vehicle, so it's a lot less maintenance. That's a huge thing. I know that I was having a lot of issues with my car. Just the more you drive it, the more goes wrong, but you don't have all that in an EV, so it's a lot easier to maintain. And they have way less emissions than typical vehicles, so it's really helping cut down to the pollution. On Danforth, we have a lot of different charging options. I think we're looking to add more. They all have 4-hour charging limits, and that's just to ensure that everyone gets enough time to charge. And if we have charge point stations, so you just have to make an account, download the app, and then, so if you get there in the morning and it's full, check back in about 4 hours, you can check on the app. You don't have to actually go out to your car. The app will tell you if it's available. And then we do have some spaces outside of the 6, they're dual chargers that are just 110 volt outlets. And so you just have to bring your own charger and plug into the wall, but we do have those as well. I've listed that there, so I'm not going to read it all, but and then I include a link to the ChargePoint page to sign up and learn more. And you can call them 24/7, I believe, for support, but these are reserved spaces, so no one can park there unless you have an EV. And it's completely free to use. So a lot of places will charge you to use ChargePoint. On our campus, it's totally free to use. Occasional parking, this has evolved a lot over the past, ever since I've been here. And I think this is definitely the best we've had it. It is for people who only occasionally need to drive to campus. It is for Danforth employees, basic service contractors, and graduate students who don't have another permit besides motorcycle. It provides up to 480 hours based on increments of 2 hours. And I know that seems like a ton of hours, but it comes out to 48 days if you park for 8 hours or more. And if you're, let's say you're an employee, that is about once a week if you put it over the whole year. It works like another permit, but except when you leave, it calculates your discount and then charges you when you leave. So it's 50% off the visitor parking rates based on this chart. So it's 50% off. It's a really good deal, especially if you don't have a permit. Like all the other ones, it's tied to your zone and it's valid in visitor spaces. There is a $15 membership fee to sign up, but we will reward you if you're being sustainable and not driving that much. They will actually refund that $15 if you use less than 121 hours throughout the whole year. Next, please. Car rental. We had a very good program for a while. It was Enterprise Car Share, and it provided $5 an hour car rentals on designated spots all over campus. You would just go with a smart card and open up the vehicles, grab and go. But with COVID, like many other things, it's been taken away just because they couldn't keep up with the cleaning. So Enterprise has suspended that indefinitely. So I worked with them to get a discount so we could still offer our students and employees something. And it's $35 a day for up to a full-size car. We don't actually have a contract with them. This is strictly between you guys and Enterprise, but it's a discount specifically for WashU people. You can be 18 years or older, which is great for students. You usually can't rent a car if you're 18. It's free pickup and drop off. If you reserve 24 hours ahead, you're guaranteed a car, which is awesome because with car share, that was an issue. There was just so much demand and we just couldn't meet it with so many people. It includes roadside assistance and a collision damage waiver, and that's all for $35. So I think that's a pretty good deal. It's 24-hour rental. If you are 21 years and older, you can add liability because that damage, it only covers damage to your car, not to others, and bodily injury. So you can add it for $15 a day at the rental office. And then you have to make it through this specific link. I added the link to the website to learn more, and then also the link that you need to make the reservation through. You can't just go through Enterprise directly to get that discount. Next, please. Energy efficient driving. So these kind of, if you read them individually, it kind of seems silly, like these are little steps, but like when you put them all together, it really does make a difference. All these little things do add up to be significant. The easiest one is no idling. So if you're sitting, turn your car off. There's no reason for it to sit and run. Measure your tire pressure every month because underinflated tires, they increase your fuel consumption and they also reduce the life of your tires. So that's good for sustainability and your wallet. And a lot of cars will have this feature now where you can automatically check it on your display screen. Don't carry around a bunch of heavy stuff if you don't have to. The less it weighs, the less fuel you have to use. And I know some people just like to lug stuff around for a long time. Use air conditioning. Try not to just blast it all the time. Roll down a window if it's nice, or just try to cut back on the AC. It's kind of surprising. It can increase it as much as 20%, which is kind of significant. So just watch your AC use. Use your vehicle's fuel consumption display, and that's just the miles per gallon, the same way you check your tire pressure. And I like this because I'll actually it shows how your driving affects it. So you can kind of learn how to improve your driving based on how it fluctuates. let's see, and track your consumption. So if you're doing really well, you'll notice you're not filling up as much. Pay attention to how you're driving. I mean, that can have a drastic effect on it. So accelerate gently, don't just floor it. Avoid high speed. So the difference between 10 miles per hour, you're not going to get there that much quicker, maybe a couple minutes, but it does make a difference on your fuel consumption. Maintain a steady speed. It's also more enjoyable to drive when you're not driving like that, but it also, it cuts down on the amount of fuel you use. Use your cruise control if you can. It helps control that speed. When you're coming to a stop or in traffic, just coast to stop instead of braking really hard, because it slows down your momentum and then it takes more to get going again. Try to plan a little bit. I know it can be hard sometimes, but to combine your trips and errands, plan around rush hour, try not to backtrack a lot. Individually, these may not be massive, but when you do all this together, it can make a really big difference. And I included a link to this 25-minute course, and it says it can teach you how to save up to 25% fuel costs. So I'm actually going to do it after this. So I recommend you checking it out. Good for your wallet, good for the environment. Oh, we actually did kind of good. I was trying to go through that quickly because I thought we were going to run out of time. So I do custom commute consultations. So we can just kind of, I'll talk about what your needs are, what you want to do, your current situation, then we can come up with a 100% tailored commute plan for you, and give you tips on how to use it and just kind of get you started. So reach out to me if you would like to set this up and we can talk through it. You can do it.
Thanks, Becca.
Any question? I think I did see some questions popping up. How do you want to handle this? Do you want me just to go through the questions?
Sure. Brianna can also share some. The last one I'm seeing on the chat was, is the occasional parking permit available for undergrads?
Unfortunately, it is not right now. I'm not sure why. I'm sure there's a good reason. But currently, no, it's not available to undergraduates. I don't know if that's because most undergrads live so close to campus, would be my only guess, is because you guys live so close and maybe you could be served by the shuttles. I'm not sure about that, unfortunately.
We had another, sorry, were you finished with that answer?
Oh yeah, I was just scrolling up, sorry. The different cities have, oh, you already answered that one. Go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna let you know that the first question, which you probably would have gotten to anyways, what are the WashU shuttles run on in terms of gasoline, natural gas, or electric?
That's a fantastic question that I do not know the answer to. I'm gonna say I'm pretty confident it's not electric. We don't actually own the vehicles, so we use an outside, we contract an outside company. I don't believe it's electric, unfortunately, although we'd like them to be, we just aren't there yet. Hopefully in the future. But yeah, that's a great question. Is navigating the metro and shuttle system the same in every city, or are they specific to St. Louis? Okay, yeah, so they are completely different everywhere you go. You'll notice a lot of cities have like turntables where you have to swipe in to even get into the system. Yeah, they are completely different, but you can use the transit app in almost every city. One thing to know, like when I was in San Francisco, I had trouble with the transit app. I guess there was, I'm not sure why, but I never have issues in St. Louis, but sometimes it thought I was on the wrong side of the street, my app did. So just pay attention to that if you're trying to use the transit app in different cities, probably big cities. But no, they are a little different. Just be patient, like everything, it takes a little bit to get used to something new. But again, it will just be autopilot. Once you do it enough, you won't even think about it and you'll just end up where you're going. And I know that when I was taking Metro almost all the time and I would drive, I would actually miss the Metro. I was like, oh, you know, like you really hate driving once you use alternative transportation because you realize it's just a lot more relaxing than having to drive. So I really encourage you just to give it a try. And I really, a lot of people who will complain about Metro in my experience are the people who don't use it, or they use it maybe once, but the people who use it regularly to commute, I only hear good things about it. It's the people who actually don't use it who complain about it. So yeah, I see one new message.
May I add on about the train system?
Yes, please.
The trains, being comfortable at using our metro system is a skill that you can apply in any other country. It's a skill that you can take with you that that expands your worlds. If you go to Washington, D.C., you can jump on their different process of metro, but you can, the entire city is now at your command. You can get around. And I've been able to manage to explore cities in Asia, explore Europe. Mexico City was a real challenge, but boy, and even here in St. Louis, there's more to St. Louis than our campuses. So many things happen downtown. We used to go to ball games, and instead of stressing, which was a terrific point, instead of stressing the parking when there's a big event, blues event, all sorts of concerts and runs, just zipping back and forth between Central West End and our campus, it's an easier thing to do to go park at Del Mar Station or wherever you can pick it up and jump on the train, go down there, enjoy yourself, jump back on the train and enjoy yourself all the way back, which shows you more of our city. And by the way, it extends all the way out to Scott Air Force Base in Illinois, about 15 miles into Illinois. There's much more to explore beyond the very local runs that we have. So it's a skill. It's a skill that you can apply in any city that has train transportation.
It's totally true, because when I went to other cities, I can navigate them much better than my husband, just because I know how to use our system very well. You do kind of translate, and all those were amazing points. I meant to mention a lot of that stuff. If you think about when you're driving, I never paid attention until this job, but you'll sit at a stoplight and you'll watch the train pass you and you'll never catch up with it, and so and I can actually get home. I should have mentioned this in the presentation, but I'm almost in the same amount of time after work on the train as I can drive. It's just a way more enjoyable to sit on a train, but trains don't stop at stoplights and traffic and all this kind of stuff. So they really are very efficient and very quick. Yeah, no, I appreciate those comments. I was right on.
Thank you.
I'm gonna let you take these, actually, if you don't mind.
Sure, yes. So there is one question about biking in bad weather. So I personally biked in pretty much every weather except when it's snowy and very icy on the road. But if it's raining, you can totally bike as long as you are ready for it. So make sure you have a rain jacket. Make sure you also have fenders on your wheels, otherwise you get like splashed with dirt and whatever's on the road. Wearing a helmet is also not only protecting you, but it's also creating a little mini roof over your forehead, and it allows you to have rain coming in your eyes at all times. It's even more important to have also working lights front and back when it's raining, because cars it's just a little bit more stressful conditions for everyone. So I would be extra vigilant about having reflectors and lights, helmets and everything you need. And maybe if you are going a place important, if you are going to work or if you are going to a date or whatever, you can always take a change in your bag and use the bathroom and change, which I've done so many times and totally works. Trainland is actually hosting a biking during the winter event in a couple of weeks, I think, with the St. Louis Public Library, I believe, which I can share in a follow-up email. But it's going to be 1 full hour, especially on specifically focused on biking during the winter. So for even more information. Question about measuring ridership. So We did a count, so we have an automatic counter on campus that we installed a few months ago that is located at the pedestrian and bike bridge, which is over Forest Park Parkway. And I think we are around, last I checked, around 1,100 bikes and peds every day. And that's just one of the entrance of campus. So there is much more than that. And we did also a count in the spring of 2018 where we went at all the racks on campus and counted each individual bikes. And we had around 3,000 bikes on campus. But it obviously changes a lot from a day to another, depending on the weather, depending on, you know, what's happening on campus. But on the long term, over the past decade or two, there definitely has been a big increase in biking on campus.
And especially when you're close. I mean, people don't realize you can get places in almost the same amount of time as biking. It can be a lot quicker than you think.
Wow.
Wouldn't you agree? I think you can you're past enough traffic. I'm just thinking between like North Campus and Danforth, driving versus biking, I don't think it'd be that different. And then you're not parking. You also have to keep in consideration you're not parking and driving or walking from a parking spot. You get to bike right up to the front door.
So I love seeing Ellis' tip in there about lowering your tire pressure for wet weather. I never thought about that. It's a great idea. Have you experienced safer biking when doing that?
I'm a road cyclist myself, so I guess lowering the pressure just increases the grip. You have more rolling resistance on the road. Yeah.
Such a good point. Thank you for sharing. Anything else? We are way past time, but we can stick around for a couple more minutes if you guys have questions. And if not, we'll just close it.
Any other questions?
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. This was the last of our series. Thankfully, everything is recorded on the website. We'll also share the slides with all the links. There is so much to learn out there. So thanks again for being here. Thanks to our special guest, Becca. And we'll see you around.
Guys.
Thanks, everyone.